Hello and welcome to this episode of the IELTS Listening Practice series. Today we're focusing on numbers such as reference numbers, ID numbers, telephone numbers. So let's get started. You'll need a pen and a piece of paper. I will read the 10 examples and you just need to write down what you hear. Just a little tip, there will be a small pause in some of the lists of numbers, and that pause indicates that there will be a gap in the number. So see if you can also catch the gaps as well as the numbers. So if you're ready, let's begin with the first set of 5. Number 1. She lives in room 739. 2. My reference number is 102 68 83. 3. Their phone number is 496 027. 4. The log number is 27 930 572. Number 5. The invoice number is 75 02 73 5. So here are the correct answers. Take a moment to check what you've written with what you see here, and this time have a look just to see if you also managed to catch the gaps between the numbers. I think I'm probably being oversensitive here and getting you to think harder than you need to think by also considering the gaps. Generally speaking, the context of a listening test makes it clear what kind of number you're listening for. So for example, if you're actually dealing with a date of birth, you know that that's a very specific set of numbers. You're going to have up to 31 possibilities for talking about days of the month. You've got 12 months, and you know that generally the year format includes 4 numbers. So depending on the context in a listening exam, you're not going to have to worry about these gaps. So please don't become unnecessarily concerned about catching gaps. But I do think it's really good for your listening practice to just identify how these numbers are being grouped together. So in this particular video, that's the thing that I think we can focus on. This is the 10th numbers video, so we want to be working a bit harder, pushing those skills forwards. So that's why I mention it. So we'll look at the second set of 5, and again, see if you can notice those gaps and group the numbers in the same way that I have. Number 6. Our phone number is 472 794. Number 7. His applicant number is 061. 8. The door code is 0472. 9. My receipt number is 3 84 72 01. 10. The ID number is 85 63 85 72. So again, spend some time checking your answers, compare what you see here with what you've written, and just a thing to note that we've got in numbers 7 and 8, we've got the 0, which I also took care to read out as an O in one of the occasions. As I've mentioned in a previous video, which you may or may not have seen, sometimes people will read this as 0, and other times in a string of numbers you'll hear people say O. So with number 8, I could read that as 0472 or 0472, both are fine. When you're dealing with a telephone number, for example, when the context shows you that you're only expecting numbers, this doesn't cause any confusion. However, for example, with registration plates on cars, they can in Britain include letters and numbers, and therefore that context, if I meant a number, I would stress it as a 0, and if I meant a letter, I would say O. So when you're using English, thinking away from the exam context into your daily life for a moment, if you need to be really explicit that it's a number, use 0, and if it's a letter, use O. That's the little tip to take away. So hopefully you've had plenty of time to check your answers now. If you've noticed any patterns and you've got a question about how you can work with your mistakes, then leave that in the comments below. And also let me know how you did with those gaps. Did you manage to hear the gaps and leave them as you were writing your numbers down? Like I said previously, I don't think this is something that's going to raise its head for you in the exam. It will be clear what kind of number you are listening for if numbers do come up in your listening test. It tends to be things like telephone numbers, dates of birth, so the context is usually very clear for you. If, for example, in number 6, you wrote that as one string of numbers with no gap, that is not going to worry an examiner, I don't think. As long as you get the correct numbers, the gap isn't that important. I'm being a little bit picky here and just trying to push your ears. I believe that overtraining is the way to success in many things in life. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, go ahead and hit like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the playlist for lots of other practice. They come in sets of 10, so we've got numbers, we've got postcodes, names, street names, lots of different things. The idea being that if you practice these micro skills, you're building up your kind of foundation ability to really listen carefully and accurately. And when you're preparing for an exam, I think that's a really important thing to be able to practice. So thanks for watching and have a lovely day.